All right, returning from the netherworld, AC is in the room with us. I'm excited. In case you forgot he existed, he's still alive, out doing things that isn't us. So anyway, we're Almost in Agreement, almostinagreement@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Go to our website, almostinagreement.com. That's got all the fun stuff on it. Election Guide 22. Started to schedule some more races. I've got my first state race scheduled now. That's going to be early June, and then I'm going to try to squeeze some more in between then and now. District 18 is going to be another mess and or shit show, as it was prior. So I'm looking forward to watching that show. But anyway, we got more pressing stuff, more local stuff, more current stuff, so we're going to talk about those things as well. Anyway, we're almost in agreement. Go to Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. Give us a like, follow, share, friend, whatever it is. Subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And we're going to do a show. So here we go, everybody. Oh, what's up, fellas?
Hey.
Just give yourself a little boop, little microphone boop. All right, I got to start here. Did you primary vote, AC?
No, did not.
Why not?
Didn't care.
Didn't care.
Yep.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It's going to be Republicans anyways, dude. I don't care.
That's why the primary is important. That's exactly why the primary is important.
I don't know about it exactly, but it doesn't matter to me.
I mean, I made a big stink about I'm pulling a Republican primary because I want to vote for who's eventually going to win.
Yeah, well, they all suck.
I mean, I would agree in a very broad sense. You're probably correct. Yes, there aren't a lot of gems amongst this minefield.
Well, and even if they are not portraying themselves to be gems because the gems don't get elected.
Right.
The crazy ones like whatever her name is, Dog the Bounty Hunter in Georgia, and the Demio in Colorado. Those types are the ones that get elected anyway. So.
Well, I mean, that's in national office. Usually locals a little better than
that. Not really. You think the locals are better? A local doesn't get as much attention. You can be even crazier? I don't know. I disagree with that.
I mean, there's some crazy shit that goes on in local stuff, and there are some crazy people. But for the most part, at least, in this election specifically, I think in the handful of Republican primaries that had a challenger, the less crazy one won.
That's a measuring stick.
Oh, yeah.
The less crazy one won?
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
But that's because, we voted for less crazy.
Congratulations. I'm glad you voted.
So, the hope is that the parties get the hint and start trying to field less crazy.
No, that's...
I agree.
It's not that the parties know that they're crazy.
Right. Well, Sam can attest. It's been my last, month straight, Sam, of me just railing about how ridiculous the parties are.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so if nothing really changes, regardless of whether they win or lose, I have better things to do.
Nah, I can give you this.
Which is, the reason why we are in the mess right now anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand that and appreciate that, but at the same time, I mean, there's only so much that I can howl at the moon before I realize it's wasting my time, or that my time is better served somewhere else.
Yeah, you just got to be bored like me.
Yeah.
Then you have a good time.
God, I wish I was bored. I'm not bored by any means.
All right, well, that's the show, everybody. Thanks, AC, for stopping by.
Thanks for listening.
You got a cigar that I got to go smoke? See y'all?
I don't know. There was some fun local stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's worth talking about. I'm sure.
No, we can talk about it. Just because I didn't vote doesn't mean I don't want to talk about it.
Well, there's a big, I guess here's the question. Okay, so Larson J., he is current County Commissioner 11. He's running to keep that seat. And he had a pretty tight primary himself, and his challengers probably got a pretty good shot at making a run at it. I think Larson still probably wins the race long term. But he showed up at City Council this week as a citizen. And apparently that's a long-standing no-no in the norms of local governance. And I get it, and I don't. I get it both ways. I understand the premise. It's kind of weird. You sit on this other body that doesn't necessarily involve this body, and so you're kind of... not staying in your stay in your lane, for lack of a better word. Don't come into our house and tell us what to do. We won't go into your house and tell you what to do.
Stay in the lane that doesn't exist.
Right, but to me, it's well, he's a city resident. He has a right to speak. He didn't get a special speaking went in there on the public forum like anybody else.
On the surface, I agree with you.
But then also everybody's like conjecturing on. There's been rumor that he's going to run for mayor next year against Kincannon.
Okay.
And so this is him kind of starting to poke the bear, for lack of a better word, as far as, Mayor Kincannon's under a little bit of fire. Not really. Nobody really seems too upset about the tax increase the city's about to take on. But he wanted to use that meeting as an opportunity. Like it hasn't been confirmed by him, but that's the general conversation around it, is that he did it as a way to get in there and show the city residents that if he were mayor, he wouldn't have done this kind of thing.
I mean, seems like smart politicking.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get it. Like I said, I get it both ways. But I mean, to me, it's like, bottom line, he's a city resident. He has the right to speak it for him. I don't know that I really care to keep that norm. Because at the same time, I mean, if a city council person wanted to go speak at a county commission, because as a city resident, you're also a county resident, you have a right to speak at those. I don't see that as a big deal.
I don't either.
So that's my thoughts on it.
I agree.
But that was an interesting one. And then what was the other part? Lynn Fugate, as a response to him, kind of teased the idea of...
Where's Lynn out of?
Lynn Fugate, she's City 4?
Is that the Gibbs Corrington area?
I'll have to look it up. I don't remember. I looked it up last night because I was trying to remember how to spell her name for the other project.
Because the last name is familiar and potentially of personal nature.
Lynn Fugate is at large A, so she's countywide. There she is.
There she is.
Wonderful hair, Lynn. But she kind of
scroll down a little bit if you don't mind.
Sure. She kind of went back she kind of responded to Larson because the way local sales tax works is by a ballot referendum or whatever, the city contributes 72% of their sales tax income back to the schools, which is a county body. But they don't have to. They only have to do 50% by state mandate.
Okay.
And so it's like, well, Mr. Larson, if you don't want us to add taxes, then we can take some of that we were spending on schools back. And it's really just, again, politicking. I don't think she has any intent to actually push that measure, because they voted later that meeting to approve the new budget as well as the new tax increase. And it was like a 7-2 and an 8-1 respectively. And then the one of the two, and then the one was Janet Testerman, who's running for District 18 State Board or State House as a Republican, and she certainly doesn't want to vote for a tax increase while campaigning to be a Republican in the state. Mm-hmm. And so whether, which, I mean, I guess to me, the problem with that to me is that she's not, like, it's ridiculous to me that I get it, but it's ridiculous to me that an individual who is in a position, who sees a situation in front of them as a city council member, should say, hey, this is the right thing to do for the city, and be able to vote yes on a thing if they actually think that, and that doesn't go, oh, well, you voted for a tax increase in the city, whether or not it was right or not, doesn't matter. You're not really a Republican. We don't want you in this Republican seat over here in the future. I think that's unfortunate in the way the system works.
Don't you ever have that thought of raising taxes.
Right.
With the R next to your name.
That's right.
How dare you?
I guess that's one of the things I can make it start my list. One of the things that R means is you will never raise taxes. Yeah. Or you will never seek office after raising taxes. That's the other one that I've been on a kick on. It's like I don't understand what the R or D actually stands for. Because I don't think they really stand for anything other than our team to beat the other team.
Well, it's kind of changed. I mean, 60s, 70s, blue collar was Democrat, and now blue collar has become a little bit more Republican. Now Democrats are seen as elitist. They used to be, rich white Republicans, and we're the elitist. So all kind of like flip-flop. They've just kind of grab bagged and kind of changed the
which is funny because
color of the cat or painted the cat.
Which is funny because Ted Cruz went to Harvard.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's one. Have you followed that Supreme Court case?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Finish what you were saying. I'll go into the Supreme Court.
No, that was it. I was just being facetious.
It's fucking genius. That's what it is. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just it's a genius little maneuver. I mean, again, it's like they're not even trying to pretend like they're not corrupt. They're just trying to make it easier to be corrupt. Because now, after you're elected, you can start getting paid in campaign donations that go straight into your bank account, not into your campaign account anymore.
Right.
And it was
Brilliant.
if you did personal loans to your campaign, you could
Right.
then get paid back.
Right. So the trick's going to be, all right, I'm running for office. I've collected millions in donations. I'm going to leave those in my war chest. I'm going to donate millions of my own money into my campaign. After election, you can donate to me to pay back my loans, and then I can keep the war chest over there for my future campaigns. But this is a way for you, a donator, to directly involve yourself in my personal finances. I mean, it's basically it's a way around not calling it a bribe, which is really what it is. It's like, hey, Ted Cruz, my friend, here's $100,000 towards your campaign loan payback. Don't forget us when this bill comes through, or introduce this for us, or whatever.
I wonder if there's any kind of time limit on when you receive those political funds.
Well, that was part of this case. It was the max was $250,000, and it was within 20 days of election, which made sense. Because okay, fine, you did it, but those contributions would come after you're elected, but before you actually take office. So you're not actually getting paid while in the seat.
As far as that scenario of leaving money in your war chest.
Oh, see, I don't know how that works either.
How long you can leave that in your war chest? And you're like, well, I may run in 2030, so I might as well, keep $500,000 in there.
Right. Well, to roll back to Larson J, he's collected tons of money for his commission run this year, and he's not gonna spend it all. Is he allowed to hold on to that for next summer? For when he goes, if he goes and runs for mayor,
right.
And then is he allowed to use those donations for his mayor run? Because it's like, I donated to you for a commission seat, not for. I donated for you for a county seat, and now you're using this for a city race. But we talked about it a while ago too, Sam. One of the things I think is fucked up. AOC did it this last year, and it's not uncommon or whatever. Is that you could take your campaign donations and donate that to somebody else's campaign. So it was during the what was that? What election was that? I don't remember. It was maybe it was the Virginia race last year, because Virginia's got that weird.
I think it was the Virginia race.
And
actually.
she donated a bunch of money out of her donations war chest, not her money, but out of donations to her campaigns into this other campaign. And again, it's like, well, if I'm donating to your campaign, I'm not donating to some person in Virginia. I'm in New York. You're running for a seat in New York. I'm donating to you. I think that's gross.
I mean, I don't disagree, but what are you going to do?
At the same time,
Talk about
you
it.
trying to tell them how they can or can't spend their campaign funds. Whether, like, well, I don't watch TV. My money shouldn't go towards TV ads.
But I mean, there's I
get your point.
There's a hard line difference in spending campaign money on campaign activities and spending campaign money on other campaigns or other items.
She could argue that if the Virginia race goes the way that she wants it to go, then her job is going to be easier to pass things.
Right. She can do more of what you asked her to do by electing her. I agree. I mean, I get that. Like that, we talked about it that way too. Like I agree that that's a sales pitch, and I don't know.
She's not going to lose donations because of that. Let's put it like that.
Right.
The people that are donating to her are not going to care that she was attempting to help out Virginia.
Right. And so again, it's like one of those, like, what is, like, and I always joke about, because Matt Shears, according to the Democratic database, campaign finance reform is one of my top issues, which
I 100% agree with you.
I don't know if it is one of my top issues, at least right now.
Why is it not?
I just don't know. I don't know what the whole list of issues that they use and reference people with.
You're trying to say it's not the top issue, it's just
I don't know if
issue?
it's a top issue. I don't know if it's a number one issue to me.
Well, what else would be in the running?
I mean, I think some of the separation of powers issues is probably a bigger one on my list.
As in church and state, or like branches of government?
As in
legislative, judicial.
Well, no, federal, state, and local.
Wow.
That's one of my bigger ones. And I don't know. There's probably more. I'm just not thinking of anything right now.
Okay.
Just because it's on topic right now. Like, and on the grand scheme of things, my top issue is having people more involved and informed about their local races. Because again, it goes back to, like, I'm so pissed off about how the R and the D don't really mean anything. And like, I was joking with Tyler Gibbons, who lost his primary, but he was running for mayor against eventually against Jacobs if he'd won the primary. And I was like, does it bother you at all that you have a long road because you're trying to run as a Democrat in Knox County anyway, but does it bother you at all that the issue in the White House is going to damage your campaign? And he's like, I'm not particularly pleased with it, but me and the Democratic values line up, so I have to run as a Democrat. I was like, that's dumb. Like, I understand that you agree with a lot of the principles. I still don't understand what those are, but Joe Biden having very poor approval ratings is affecting a mayoral race here in town.
I mean,
because it's a brand, because of the brand of the D.
So I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I mean, Trump's approval rating was terrible when he was in office, and I mean, it's not like they were damaging local races at the typically red states, anyways.
Right, I agree.
So I guess it only damages those particular areas that may be potentially winnable.
But I think one of the things I think Knoxville as a city is much more blue. Knox County at large is red with a hint. Like, Knox County at large, I think, is turning purple. It's not quite purple yet. It's not a split county.
I don't know, man.
I mean, you can, like, if you look at the Biden Trump 22 or 20 race, like, it's pretty. I think Biden won Knox County. I know he won the city precincts, but I think he won the countywide.
I'd have to check. I'd have to check that. I'm not sure that's true.
It was fairly close either way. It wasn't like a Roane County or something like that where it was all red. But and again, I don't think Knox County is a purple, but I think it's pushing that direction.
The county?
Yeah. I mean, the county, right.
The city and the county.
Do it?
The city and the county both?
I mean, the city's already blue.
Right. So you're combining both?
Well, I mean, the city is in the county, so yes.
Okay.
The county, the just short of 500,000 that live in Knox County, it is tending more towards the middle. It's still right, but it's tending more purple over the last couple of election cycles.
Yeah, so you're saying that 70% is Republican as opposed to 90%? Is that what you're saying?
Something like that. I'd say maybe a little lower, but I'd say maybe in the 60s, 60-30 something, mid-60s, mid-30s, somewhere in there. I don't know. I could probably find out more specifically.
That's
but
fine. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but whatever. My whole point of all that was Trump didn't damage a whole lot, and so the approval rating thing, I wonder if that's a scapegoat. If it's a straw man to say, well, X person, Biden has a poor approval rating, and so as a default, I'm not going to do well. Well, maybe if... I
mean, that was my conjecture, not his. I brought it up, not him.
Right, but you said he didn't adamantly disagree with you.
Fair, right.
So, you may have brought it up, but he didn't disagree with you.
Right. I mean, his reply was that I hold the values, and so I run as a D. It wasn't really... at least at minimum, it wasn't. I didn't consider that as part of my decision to put the D behind my name or not. But either way, I just think it's.
I could see that for people that go in there and don't know much about the candidates and just strictly vote party line. Maybe that.
Right. The D's suck right now, so I'm going to vote R this time.
Yeah.
The R's suck right now, I'm going to vote D this time, which is probably standard practice for those people anyway. Whatever's current is the worst.
Or fickle.
I'd also argue that people that typically vote in local elections are probably set on what they're doing anyway, and they don't necessarily change their party affiliation too often. I
mean, I think we do, but it's with intent. We did this year for sure. We had a ton of crossovers in this primary, but it's with intent. It's either like a District 7 race. I mean, hell, if you're in Knox County and you pull the Democratic primary back in the early May primary. If you're in Knox County and not in District 1, you had one race, which was the 3 mayor candidates. If you were in District 1, you had a school board race and the mayor's race. But if you're in District 4, which didn't matter because there was only one candidate in each for the school board, that's the only one we have. But like District 7 had 4 Republicans and 0 Democrats in their commission race. Their school board was 2 Republicans and 1 independent, so they will have a general in that race. But Rhonda Lee's already won 7. Even though that race still has technically to go out.
I think a part of it is, I mean, if you are a traditional Democrat or you consider yourself a traditional Democrat, why are you going to waste the time, energy, and effort into something you're probably going to lose on?
Right. And I think that's the problem they have as a party in getting candidates, is that it's, why am I going to put myself out there? This is still Knox County.
Yeah.
Like the one that pissed me off the most about it is Matt couldn't pull anybody for the sheriff's race. And then that was the one to me, and I think that one and the 10 and 11 commission seats at large. Like, I know for a fact there's a good number of people that crossed over just because they wanted to get in on those races. One, because you didn't have any other option if you wanted to vote for sheriff, you had to. But those 10 and 11 races are pretty significant and I think, I think, or I don't know if I don't have the numbers to back it up, but the rumor mill at least is that Larson only beat Steve Weiner for 11 because of crossovers. Because that one ended up, we looked it up, Sam. I don't remember what it was. It was a fairly close race. I want to say it was like a 52 to 48%, somewhere in there. It was total like 20,000. It wasn't a huge turnout. I mean, it was a
for a local election,
right? It was actually a little bit below the last one for with similar races or whatever, but not hugely. But 20,000 or whatever. But it was only a couple percent points off. And if a couple thousand crossed over to vote in that, then that would, and assuming that they all voted for one or the other, because then I think the Driscoll and Frazier race and the other at-large county one was another one. Devin Driscoll is. He's the pro-developer, meathead, former pro wrestler, semi-pro wrestler.
Was he a wrestler too?
Yeah, but he was all about developers. Like that was the.
I support people that build things.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
doesn't everybody?
It's a weird one because that one to me, and I'm trying to get. I'm trying to figure out how to do one. I'm talking to this guy Hanson Sale. He's the. I can't remember what his title is, but he's a realtor, but he's in the Knoxville Association of Realtors or whatever. He's like the guy that they send to all the commission meetings, because every commission meeting they have like a housing inventory conversation, and he tells how many houses sold, how many houses are on the market right now, that kind of shit. And he put out some cool graphs a couple weeks ago, and I started chatting with him, and I'm trying to get him to do a show, because this housing, I mean, both of you are suffering from the problems of the housing market we live in right now.
Yeah, don't get me started on that shit.
But it's like, like everybody hates on these pro-developer candidates, but it's like, well, how do you want us to get any housing in if you don't want developers to come put stuff in? And
I mean, are there people that are against developers?
Yeah. I mean, again, like the whole, like there's whole mountains of people that like the only complaint about Devin Driscoll is he's pro-developer.
Right.
The only complaint about Larson J is he's pro-developer.
So what's the argument against the pro-developer?
I mean, is that they're going to turn all of our beautiful rural Knox County into McMansion neighborhoods, but they're not going to do the infrastructure and all the other stuff that needs to hold all these people. That's the inference when they complain about it.
I mean, they're going to get developed anyway.
I agree.
And if the market is there, who cares who initiates it?
Right. I mean, like one of the hate pieces. Let me see if I can find it, because I always get confused on it. One of the hit pieces on Larson J from Dylan Early, his opponent, is, God, where is it? There it is. It's a graphic. Larson's leadership. It's got 4 points on it. Takes a bunch of money from development money for his campaign. Supports budgets with low officer wages, amplifying the largest deputy shortage in Knox County's history. Overseeing the worst housing market in the county's history, and approves developments that are destroying rural communities and farmlands. How do you justify 3 and 4 in the same statement? He approves developments to get more housing. He's overseeing the shittiest housing market we've had in years. Like, Well, I think the third point is more of the reason why we're saying it's the worst housing market is because if you're looking for a decent house, you're you're looking at $200+ per square foot, regardless of what your inventory is in Knox County. That's unheard of. Yeah. So I think that's the argument. But I mean, to me, how do you get under that price per square foot? Like, how do we bring the pricing more reasonable in the county?
Some of it is I'm not suggesting you keep people from moving here, but part of the reason why that the square foot is so high is because there are people that are coming in from states that don't have income taxes and are wanting not 90-degree weather all the time,
or not 20-degree weather for months at a time.
Sure. And so, I mean, that stuff you can't really control. People decide they want to move here. What are you going to do?
Right.
And
so that means, number 3 is out of his hands. He can't really control that.
I mean, I would say number 4 is out of his hands too, because I mean, if he doesn't approve it, somebody's going to. What are you going to do? You're going to
right. But for okay, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. But the inconsistency in the argument in and of itself is what I'm kind of trying to point out.
Right. I'm agreeing with your concern. Also, I'm just saying that we're trying to use logic for people that are trying to. People that are persuaded by this are also not using logic. It's the same thing we had like 2 years ago with the Facebook posts and headline and whatever. Like, you see that and you just assume, wow, it's red.
Black and white.
It's very black and white. The red stuff is there. It's like it's a sociological experiment on rhetoric. It's
What's that? Do you know what flower that is on his lapel? That's a nice looking.
I don't even know it's a flower.
Pin or something. Like it's a flower or some sort of leaf pattern.
I don't know.
It's got some styles. Like, I like Dylan. I think Dylan. I thought Dylan was a fun person to talk to. I don't think he's got a shot in this race, to be honest. Like, I think he's good, and I think he's gonna bring up some issues, but I don't think he's gonna beat Larson. But that's not enough. But to me, I guess my point is those aren't uncommon talking points about different candidates, not Larson specifically, but about different candidates that they're pro-development. But it's like, but the same people that are going to be mad at a pro-development candidate are the people that are like, we need more affordable housing. It's like, well, how the fuck do you put those two things together in the same sentence and not see the hypocrisy in your own logic?
Sure, but people that could potentially be persuaded by that hopefully are going to use logic, and if they're not, then that works. And so, I mean, if it's the lowest common denominator, which is what that
right.
Political
one of these
ad
things is going to ring true to somebody. You don't care which one.
It doesn't have to
one hits.
Right. It doesn't have to be consistent.
That gets what we want. Fair enough.
I agree with you, but this is probably part of the reason why. Also, I've got a lot of skeletons in my closet. This is probably part of the reason why I don't have any interest in going into politics myself, because to me, this is nothing more than like business sales. And like business sales in the sense that, like, if you're in sales, you have to you essentially have to sell your product whether or not you believe in it or not.
Right.
So I'm not sure I could be that cutthroat and throw as much shit on the wall as possible to try to hope that it would stick, knowing full well some of it would stick because people wouldn't pay attention to it. And so I guess I'm just I don't know, disenchanted by the whole political. You know what I mean? And so that's why I can't be genuine and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to enter a race because I can change some things, because I've got to do things like that to my opponent. Otherwise, if I'm just, if I'm not playing the game, I'm not going to get in.
Right.
So why bother wasting my own time for that?
And I think Matt Shear said it too. I think the first time I had him, probably the best quote ever. He's like, I love candidates that don't like campaigning. He's like, the worst candidates that I've ever had to deal with is the ones that like campaigning. I want the ones that want to govern, and then we got to work through the campaign process. And that's the real hard job for them. But once they get in there, the actual governance leadership thing is that's what they want. They want to do that. They don't want to play the game.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's a great sentiment, but it seems like only the ones that want to play the games are the ones that are.
Yeah.
And how do we get the system to make it so the ones that actually want to do the job
you
are the ones seeking
can.
it?
I mean, you can. I'm not trying to imply that I'm the smartest person in any room, but I'm fairly educated, and yet I don't want to fuck with this just because I've got to figure out a way to convince people that are not going to spend any time on this at all to vote for it.
Because I think the reality, the real reality of what you're actually saying is the public is not engaged at large, and the game you have to play with an unengaged public is not a game you're willing to play. If you had an engaged public, I think if we had an engaged public, you'd be willing to play the game.
Yes,
because you'd be willing to take on the questions.
Yes,
and
100%.
And when you lob a criticism, you're going to back up the criticism and why you came to that conclusion, not just he's ugly.
That is correct.
And then hope that ugly is good enough.
Or he's going to eat your kids.
Right.
Or like that pizza thing with Hillary back years ago, where the Democrats were like running some sort of pedophilia ring, and Hillary was at the front of it. You remember this?
Out of a Pizzagate.
Out of a pizza company, like
Pizza shop,
back. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, I'm not willing to do that. I would rather spend my free time doing other things, not trying to figure out how much of the shit that I throw against the wall is going to stick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It makes me feel fucking disgusting.
And that's one of the reasons why I like this part of it, because I like talking about it and I like looking into it, and I think it's important that we try to figure out ways to get it more engaging to people. And I would like to think that we were starting that process or whatever.
Who are we?
The show.
Oh.
All 17 or so of our listeners.
I mean, this is not. I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but
you're going to be, check.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that what I'm lobbying is not initially supposed to be a shit comment, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a circle jerk. I mean, I know you had to start somewhere. I get all that nonsense, but like,
right. And I know. I mean, it's right. I don't know about circle jerks, but I like playing with myself sometimes, so that's fine.
In a circle.
I mean, it's got to be a little bit of a circle motion.
Right. So there you go.
So.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting
wish I had video for that for everybody. You're welcome.
It was pretty good.
Not having that on.
I'm not trying to suggest it's futile, but it's pretty fucking close.
Yeah, but I'm having fun with it, so.
I'm not talking about masturbating. I'm talking about the... No. I'm not suggesting that the podcast is futile. I'm not saying that. That's not what I mean. Trying to change the world is sometimes futile, is what I'm saying.
I can see where you're coming from on that. Preds are out. Pens are out. Hockey's no longer valid. Tennessee baseball's winning games.
Yeah, they won. They swept Ole Miss, the series with Ole Miss this year. First time they've ever done that.
Really? I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
I know they were like the consensus number one going into the tournament, and they've already won a couple games in the tournament. Yeah, softball won a tournament game today too.
I think the men's team just set an SEC record.
Trying to go
beat someone like 26-2 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing there. I don't know if we're switching topics or not, but college baseball is actually kind of challenging. Like, if you have to get good players, you have to recruit, all that stuff. But you're not just in baseball, at least you're not just recruiting against other colleges. You're also recruiting against Major League Baseball teams. So, like if you got a player that is a consensus, say top, 300 player in the nation, you've got to convince them that when you're drafted in the 10th round by the Brewers, for instance, that you're not going to sign that $750,000 contract to go play in the minors for the next 4 years. So the question ends up being, do I get drafted in the 10th round, or do I go to college for 2 years and get drafted in the 3rd round because I've been able to display my talent in college.
Right.
So
got more tape.
Well, and you get better.
Right. Might be able to get some of that name and likeness money.
You can. It's not as much as football, of course, but yeah, you can get some for sure.
And I'd say with a program like UT and what's going on with it, it's probably easier to make a little bit more in that than in some obscure college in some small town.
Sure, but even still, I mean, you've got to figure out you can't get a top player in the nation because they will get drafted straight out of high school and go into the minors. And so it's even more really amazing that Vitello is able to pull this off because, you're essentially you're trying to find players that are going to play for your program and that are good, but not so good that they would be in a minor league camp instead.
But it helps. Because the Major League Baseball rule is if you go into college ball, it's 4. Is it 3 or 4 years?
It's not 4. I think it's 3.
Okay.
I don't think it's 4.
So that helps a little bit in the sense that if you can talk them into it, you've got a pretty good talent for a couple of years, and if you can develop them into an even better player, this is now a top echelon caliber player, but he's stuck here for another year or two at least.
Yeah. Well, and if you're already good, I mean, would you rather just essentially travel in buses and make some money? You're going to make a hell of a lot more money in the minors with it as a
right. I'm just saying for that kid that's like right there, and it's like, well, all right, I'll go play college ball, but they really it really clicks, and they really start catching their stride or whatever. in their freshman year, they still have a sophomore and junior year minimum.
Yeah.
You can make them, that they get stuck in your program, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a common case, but I'm just saying that seems
Thinking about, I think his name is Jordan. Is it Jordan Davis?
Yeah. I mean, I think the similar conversation about college basketball, because of the way that rule works. But the colleges or pro ball is kicked out. You can't go straight out of high school anymore. For a while there, at least you could, and then it was the one and done game.
Yeah.
And so, like, those coaches that got those one and done players, it's like, you better cash in quick, because you got a roster of 6 guys that aren't going to be here next year.
I don't think it's Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is a football player for Georgia. Bear with me here. I'll look it up.
Wrong sport, wrong school.
Yeah.
All the wrong things.
Yeah, I know our baseball
Jordan
coach
Beck,
just signed a contract last year. I was reading about some of the Vanderbilt's like athletic director and some of their coaches. I'm like, you guys get paid like $3 million a year? It's like their basketball and baseball coach. I think the athletic director was like, I think maybe a little over $4 million, or at least for one of the previous years.
Lady Plowman got a big raise here in Knoxville, but that's a separate story.
I did see that, yeah.
Jordan Beck. So he was selected in the 14th round in 2019 by the Red Sox. Decided to sign here at UT, and he's a consensus first-round pick in MLB here when they have their draft. So, what do you do? Do you go as a 14th round pick and maybe you're at Fenway by now, or do you go to UT and try to develop for 3 years
next year?
Well, probably not. I mean, he'd start out Double A probably. I mean, if he's drafted, I doubt he would make it to Fenway in 23. Maybe, but if he does, it'll be September.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the NHL does it, but I know they still do the draft, and I see, just watching some of like the Predators news and whatnot, people they've drafted 2 years ago are still in Boston College, or they're still doing college, and even then they'll probably still do another year or two in a kind of junior, like Canadian League or something, or the AHL.
Right. I don't know.
I was like, we drafted these people 6 years ago, and they're like, I'm going to go to college first, which I'm all about that. I mean, they're getting that much more skill.
Right. Like, I don't, like, that's the thing. That's the thing in sports at large that I just can't, like, I can't wrap my head around the people that are that into it. That they could go, like when I was working at the bar and, standing behind the bar, especially with the day crowd, it's like these, middle-aged dudes drinking beer at 3 p.m, talking about this high schooler in Colorado that Tennessee's been trying to get to recruit or whatever. And it's like, how do you have the time and energy? Like, I can understand it on a professional level if you're, the head of recruiting for UT football, that you go out there and you have a team of guys that goes out there and scours the, and then I know there's some sort of organization stuff that they go that has like scouts that do ratings and stuff like that, and everybody buys the magazine and looks at it, and then they go look at them in person when they find one that makes sense for them. But it's like just a normal Joe talking about some junior in an Arizona high school. It's like, we need to get that guy here at UT next year. What? How do you what?
What's the difference between that and doing this?
I know. I think that's part of the thing. It's just that doesn't pique my curiosity at any level. Like, I enjoy sports a lot, but not like that. Yeah,
I mean, there are people that would say that they enjoy, politics and what happens in their community a lot, and then a lot of folks would say, listen, what affects me more is rooting for a good football team.
Right. That, and I enjoy, and to be fair, I like, for the politics sake of it, I'm not the junior in high school for politics. I don't care. I'm not in deep enough at this point, at least, that I could say, oh yeah, look out for blah, 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 they're going to run next year for this. Like, other than this Larson J one. I mean, the Larson one's pretty common knowledge amongst anybody that pays a bit of attention. But I probably know names, but I don't know people who are already talking about planning on running for city council next year.
I mean,
they're out there and they're already starting the process, and people do know that they exist. It's just not me.
Right. I think I think you probably will be.
I could get there.
Which is fine. I'm just,
That's right, and you're not. I get it.
No, I'm not saying that I'm not. If I was less disenchanted about the process, I would be.
Right. I get it.
And I think part of my frustration is, if I can't figure out how to fix that for me, then how am I going to be able to engage the people that are even less engaged than I am currently.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know. And I haven't figured that out for me. And I don't know if I ever will, only because, again, I think some of this is, it's, you know, fucking sales. That's all it is.
I agree. I think it's, I mean, I absolutely 100% see where you're coming from. And I guess the thing to me is then the question is, what needs to happen for you to re-engage in a real level? Not in the sense that you have to run for something, but that you're actually paying attention to who's who and what's what and who's doing what. Like, what needs to happen for you to get there? Because I don't think it's a unique question to you. I think it's a fairly common, I got other shit to deal with. I don't have time to understand whatever the fuck you're talking about. Like, you know, like I think that's a common outlook from a lot of people. But what needs to happen to get people more engaged? And my concern is that it's something really bad. Is that it's like, okay, the fucking wheels are falling off this thing. I need to start paying attention and get into this. Well, I mean, some of that is happening. That was Jan 6 in a nutshell. It was wrong. It wasn't the correct line of thinking, but it was this is bullshit. We got to do something about it. And this was a dumbass result.
Oh, January 6th. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you could argue that sort of September the 11th was too, and then everybody forgot about that shit.
Right. We do have a short attention span.
Yeah. I think it's funny you guys argued or had a discussion about the COVID vaccine.
Who did?
Apparently you guys did.
Oh, me and Matt?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, well, he got the COVID a couple weeks ago when he was supposed to do a show with me, and so he zoomed in for it. And then he sent me an article about the CDC's recommending masks again. He's like, I'm over it. I'm not doing masks anymore. He might have told me that in confidence. I apologize.
Yeah, he might have edited that out.
But, you know, because, I mean, that's when I went back and I was like, hey, man, you know, it's like I know people who've got the vaccine and then gotten sick. I know people that didn't get the vaccine and got sick. I know people that got the vaccine and never got sick. I got like all the different combinations happening. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what the mass changes in this part of it. It's just, I don't know. Like, I don't understand what, anyway, sorry, that was rambly.
I don't know if anybody who, or the number is very low, like almost not countable low. I don't know anybody who has had the vaccine that's died after having COVID.
That's the most important number.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
I just thought it was like funny that you find it odd that, like, I know people that have gotten the vaccine and gotten sick, gotten the vaccine and hadn't gotten sick. Like, yes, there will be all those different groups out there.
Right. And it was never a...
Actually, he's the first person that I think that I've talked to that's gotten the vaccine and gotten really sick after it.
What does really
I
sick
got
mean?
pretty sick.
What is... hold on.
I don't know. I mean, it was his just like...
Did he go to the hospital?
I don't think so.
Okay, he was not really sick.
Okay.
That's fucking nonsense.
All right, well, then throw that whole thing out the window. I don't know anybody that's
No offense,
really
and I'm not trying to talk shit to you either, Sam, but if you didn't go to the hospital and didn't need supplemental oxygen, you weren't really sick either.
That's true. I will agree with that.
Okay, so then I correct my statement. I don't know anybody, vaccine or not, that got really sick.
Yeah. So...
By that standard.
It's not that standard. That's the fucking standard.
Yeah, that standard. The standard that you...
No, the capital T, capital S
I can make
standard.
up my own standards if I want to.
You can. It's fucking wrong if that's the case. I'm so sick of this fucking argument. It's nonsense. People have opinions. Not you. I'm just telling you.
I wasn't scrolling this to bring that part up.
I know. It was just there for longer than 5 seconds. And so
I was trying to talk Matt Shears into starting a new political party with me. And I was trying to find that thing.
Was it the non-COVID vaccine party? Is that what it is?
No.
The non-mask party?
It might be a non-mask party since he's on board with that now. But, no, that was not the
It's a distraction. That conversation is a fucking distraction. That's all it is.
Well, because one of the things...
It's rhetoric. It's a fucking distraction.
Well, because I was looking for this because of what we were talking about before that part of things. You know, what has to happen to get people re-engaged? And, like, what are the standards that we need to start looking for? And so, like, I was, you know, jokingly throwing the idea out of starting a new party.
No, that's one of them. To not get stuck in the fucking weeds talking about shit that doesn't fucking matter.
Because I mean
that's one of them.
Right, and so my party policy number 1 is complete and extreme avoidance of all topics not related to local government.
Okay, there you go. Why are we talking? Why are we having a conversation about? Yes, he had a vaccine and he was really fucking sick. He was not really fucking sick. He wasn't. Fuck him. He wasn't sick.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying.
Let him listen to this. Like I'm telling you right now. I don't give a fuck if he didn't go to the hospital. He was not really sick.
again, I wasn't trying to bring up masks or vaccines or anything in this conversation. I was trolling through a whole myriad of conversations to get to my new party, which I think is probably more like a PAC or something like that. That's how we started.
A PAC?
Yeah. Because I mean, really, it's one of those like whatever organization endorses candidates. Like you always see those. Like I think there's like Change TN is one that they always endorse.
Moms for
Democrats.
babies.
Yeah, whatever. Because again, number one would be complete and extreme avoidance, and this is all again to clarify. This would be a local party for Knox County kind of shit. Complete avoidance of topics not related to local government. Number two,
you don't think they're already doing that, or you don't think that they would make the argument that they're already doing that?
Oh, I know they won't. I mean, I know they're not exclusively at large. I don't think, and one of his candidates specifically was actually why we started this conversation.
Carry on. I don't think that that's some sort of novel thing. I think that I think for the most part, people that are in local office would say that they are already doing that. The other side is the one that's not doing it. I think that's what they would say. That's
fair. But I think I don't remember if I put that in my rules, but like the other side argument is not an argument.
Your rules.
It's my policy, my ideas for the party. Yes,
I'm sorry. Carry on. Sorry.
Complete and extreme adherence to the platform inside the job title. That's the one to me. The platform inside the job title. I don't care if. Again, this goes after the. I'll go ahead and say it. This guy Kaz, who's running for trustee, right? Okay. He's the Democratic nominee for trustee. And he went, I sent it in the group text a couple weeks, like last week. It's the one about the coal ash thing or whatever. And it's like, if it was his Facebook page, I wouldn't say anything about it, but it's his campaign page that he put that post in. And that meaning he's using his platform as a campaign for office to run a thing. And that's something that I would think needs to be avoided, because I think that's one of the things that makes it harder for the public at large to engage. Because you're confused on what job titles are and what jobs can be done. It's like the trustee in Knox County can't do shit about what TVA does with their coal ash.
I don't disagree with that, but I just want to point this out, and this is a 49% shot, 51% serious.
Okay.
As a person who is a self-described libertarian, he should be able to put whatever he wants to on his Facebook page. On
his personal page, yes.
And his campaign page.
Sure, but if he wants to be part of the party that I'm trying to put together, then no, he can't.
Wait a minute. So your party will do this and nobody else will?
Maybe, I don't know.
What do you mean maybe? I just gave you an example.
I'm not I can't say what the other parties are going to do.
So why bother doing
a party?
So why having a party? Why have a party if nobody's going to follow the rules but your party?
Okay, so the Democrats follow the rules of the Republican Party currently?
It's my party. I'll bitch if I want to.
Yes, they have to fill out the same paperwork and have the same deadlines. Yeah.
Okay, and my party would have to fill out the same paperwork and the same deadlines, but the policies of which my party go after are not going to be the same policies as the other parties, or I'd just be the other party.
I'm just trying to. I'm confused as to how this is actually going to help you.
I don't know. I guess I'm
it seems like
ridiculously optimistic that the public will.
I would use the word naive. Naive is the word I would use, but maybe not. I mean,
that the public at large will be like, oh, okay, this candidate's running for this office, and they're only talking about that office and what the things they can do in that office with their campaign stump speeches and whatnot, instead of talking about shit that has nothing to do with their office, and that's important.
Yeah, I love you. I agree with you, but that's naive.
Okay.
I think it'd be great if they all did this, but I mean, unless this is going to be something that goes across the board, then you're never, ever, ever going to get 5% of the vote.
You're swinging for the fences on this.
Okay.
Which I like.
So
I like it too, but again, I think the word here is naive.
All right. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I know it's not the point. I guess the point to me is probably to show the naivety more than anything. Show how stupid this thing is. That's the conversation where I was coming up with these ideas. Like, this is how ridiculous the world is that we live in, is that this is naive. I mean, really, when it gets down to it, like, I know this is not something that the public's going to go, oh, neat, I'm going to vote for that. I know that.
Okay. So are we just, we're creating something in a lab? Is that what we're doing?
I guess we're waxing intellectual. We're circle jerking as your version of it. Intellectual masturbation. We could do square.
I mean, if it's that's a good phrase. I mean, it doesn't have to be a circle. It
could be a triangle.
Be a triangle.
Maybe there's three in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to be left-handed, though, so it's going to get real weird, so you all have to be left-handed.
Oh, gosh.
I'm ambidextrous. I can do it.
Cool.
That's fine. Doesn't bother me at all.
As long as everybody's in, I'm good with it. But I don't know. I guess, again, to me, going way back and trying to wrap this all together, it's like, what needs to happen to get more engagement. Like, what do we need to do? What can happen?
I think the parties try, but they go more for the fear side of it, to where it's every election cycle, get out and vote, or else the evil side is gonna win, and they're gonna do this, this, and this.
Okay, let me throw this out there.
Which turns a lot of people off.
It's not an accident that every single federal election that we have, at least recently, in the era of all the stats and numbers and all this other bullshit, there's only like 50, maybe 40 counties in the United States that you really need to focus on swinging.
Federal election, sure.
Yeah. And the reason why they do that is because they have poll data that recognizes that they can swing that. And so if there are people that are being paid to come up with this poll data, there's also poll data that shows that there is absolutely no reason to go down the rabbit hole of having those rules that are set up with the lordship party, because it's not going to get them any extra votes. And so if it's not going to get them any extra votes, then why bother doing it? So what I'm suggesting is it's not going to work, because if it was going to work, it would currently be used. So the things that are working are the scare tactics that Sam's talking about.
Right.
Is the stuff that is actually not under the jurisdiction of the office in which you're running for, because they have smart people that are crunching numbers that tells them that these are the things that you can focus on to get yourself more votes. If you go down the lordship party's rules of things, you will get 0 extra votes for that. And so I guess I'm suggesting the fact that they're not using it already, the fact that this is not utilized
right.
as a game plan, shows it cannot work.
Right. Okay.
It sucks.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, I mean, I again, I 100% agree with you. I think it's awesome. I really do. But, dude, it's not going to
I have like 10 points on this thing, and I can't even get through 2.
Well, I mean, you can get through all of them, but I don't think any of them will work. I think if any of them would work, I think they would be using them already.
I agree, but I get this. Like, it's what's like confusingly frustrating about. It's not really that confusing, really, but still just like frustratingly stupid. Is like, because Matt tells me all the time he has a hard time pulling candidates. It's like, I understand it on what you mentioned earlier.
It's for this very reason. The reason that I'm suggesting is like I'm not going to waste my time on this shit, because I've got to sell a fucking 1965 Volvo and try to act like it's a fucking Maserati. You know, like I have to sell something that doesn't exist. And like at the end of the day, if the votes are the only thing that matters to get me in office, then like once I'm there, then all of a sudden I'm going to change and be this great candidate for the public? Like, I mean, if you're not genuine from the beginning, it's challenging for me to say that a person is going to be Ted Cruz-esque and then flip a switch and now, you know, do everything that is supposed to be beneficial for the people that you're representing.
And the one that would be genuine all the way is not going to get all the way through, so it doesn't matter.
Right. That's what I'm suggesting.
No, and I acknowledge that. I mean, to me, like, Eddie Manis is a local case in point, is that I think he was a genuine candidate and he was a genuine rep, and the party beat the shit out of him, and he didn't bother trying to run again because he didn't want to deal with it anymore. Listen,
it's not an accident. Have you guys followed the Cawthorn, North Carolina representative situation? Listen, it's not an accident that he lost the primary. He lost the primary because the Republicans wanted him out, not that the Democrats wanted him out.
Sure.
Those pictures and all the shit that came out in the media was there well before he was running. So, really, at the end of the day, if you're not towing the line...
Yeah, absolutely. It had nothing to do, and honestly, it had nothing to do with those pictures or anything anyway.
Well, it didn't. They knew that stuff would work. The
ammunition was there to use
correct
when they needed to get rid of him.
100%.
They needed to get rid of him.
And there was no reason to get rid of him before then, because, you know, hell, he's got an R next to him. He's going to fall in line. Wait a minute. Let's get another R that follow behind him. Do we have one? Yes, we do. Fuck him. Let's get him out of here.
Right. Which, I mean, and again, a local in-state version that's Eddie Manis. He didn't follow the line.
Right.
He was even remotely open to any conversation about anything regarding LGBTQ issues. He's not sticking around. Bye. And so he smartly said, "I'm not going to." Like he's like, "They're going to primary me. I'm out. I'm not going to stick around." there's no point because they're gonna beat the shit out of me, and I don't want to deal with it. I can go back to my private life and forget all about this.
Right. Which
sucks because he was great.
I mean, it does suck, but it just means that these are the candidates you're going to get. The ones that are willing to play this bullshit game, that are there not for the people, but for themselves. Or, like...
Not for themselves, for the party. They do what the party tells them to do, and that gets them what their own ends for themselves, I suppose.
Well, they're not there for the party. They're there for themselves. I mean...
But by doing what the party asks is how you get taken.
Right, that's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
So
6 or half dozen.
How many people would have given up and said, "Fuck this, I'm not doing this"? If the Gloria Johnson shit had happened to them, like a lot of people would have.
Sure.
I would say that
I gotta get him in here. Pause is this guy. Pause is running against her. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, apologies.
Is that his name?
Yeah, he's the Republican running against her in 90. Yeah.
Is that a last name?
It's like Pazerman or something like that. His nickname is Pause. Apologies, I interrupted your train.
Oh, I don't care. I'm just thinking how fucking stupid that is. But yeah, I mean, like, you pushed out the good people. This is what you left. So, and we're the blame because, I mean...
Right, and we keep voting for him. And again, that goes back to the earlier statement. It's like, how do we get people to get more involved and put more forth the energy to not make this a winning tactic? To not make this okay for this game. Yeah, David Pazzi Poxabut is his actual name.
Do you know anything about this cat?
No, I haven't.
What happens if you outgored him?
I know where he lives.
Yeah,
look up his house. See how much his
phone number right now.
Yeah, well, let's see how much his house is worth. He's an attorney.
I think it was in an apartment.
Really?
I think so.
He's a realtor?
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I was looking at the...
That's glorious.
Did I get glorious?
Yeah.
No, I was looking at the right one.
Well, that we could look at that one too, because you know what?
I'm sure it's
not in 90.
Right.
Which is I don't want LinkedIn. Fuck you, LinkedIn. There you go. Let's check him out on Facebook. And again, and it is a result of...
He looks like a douchebag.
Can't even have a high-def picture in your fucking thing, bro.
He looks like a douchebag.
Yeah, zoomed in.
He's got a picture of him with a black eye. He must be cool. Two pictures.
No.
I think is that a YouTube?
Do I?
Looks familiar.
I mean, orange jersey and a black person.
Yeah.
Sterl the Pearl.
Who is that?
I don't know. Sterl the Pearl. To the picture.
Good, Posy.
What does it say? Lives in Knoxville, pronounces his name about. He only had... Oh,
he ain't got no job.
No school. He was born in October. We don't know what year.
Is this like member since?
Go to details again.
I wonder if he just
go back to details this. About David. Down. Up, down. Stop.
Broker, principal, auctioneer at Keller Williams Realty. Radio personality on Sundays, 2 to 3 on 100.3 FM. All things real estate.
God.
A full-service provider of commercial, residential, and auction buyers. I could reach out to him for both. I'll reach out to him for the show and some commercial property. I'm in the market.
Why does he have an apartment address? Is that so people don't fuck with him?
I mean, I don't know.
It's got to be because so people don't fuck with him. It's got to be.
I'm not sure what the rule... Well, it has to be his home address.
I'll put my campaign manager's address.
Yeah.
It has to be his home address by law.
Contacts go to him.
Home address or he gets mail there?
I mean, no, it has to be his home address.
I mean, I'm sure there's a way to get around that. Clinton Highway?
No, it's Walker Springs.
Oh, okay. Over
there by the Wally World. Some of those apartments behind Walmart. Walbrook. But yeah, I mean, the Gloria situation's kind of weird.
It's always been weird.
Well, but
she's the only... I mean, for the most part, she's been the only consistent Democrat here in Knoxville.
As far as elected, or being consistent?
I mean, she's been the
Oh, I know exactly where that is. That's by my old place. Same, look right here. This right here. That's the big house.
Oh.
Right there.
Who's this?
Shit. That's Gloria's house.
Huh.
I know exactly where Gloria lives. Snap.
I mean, she would have told you. In fairness,
no, yeah, she wouldn't care. I mean, the issue is that it's not 90.
You. Huh?
That house is not 90. It's not in District 90. She has.
Did it used to be?
No.
Okay.
It used to be in. What is it? What was her old one? 13. 13. Whatever her current seat is, because she still is technically the rep from whatever. I think it's 13. That was 13. And most of 13 is new 90, but not that section of 13. That section of 13 moved into 16 or something like that.
Because where my driver's license says that I am currently living, she used to be the rep there. Right. She was running for the rep there. She lost to
right, and she's promised that to me the only weirdism of it to me is that she has the capability to move into district. She has plans to move into district if she wins, and that's kind of fucking dirty. Sorry,
is it?
Yeah.
Why would you move if you're going to lose?
Well, the only reason you're moving is to run.
Yeah.
Then fucking move to run. Don't move to hold the seat. Move to run for the seat.
But why would you want to uproot everything if you're going to lose?
You don't. But I don't think you should be eligible to run for a seat if you are not a resident of the district at the time of the election.
I mean, we're talking about district maps that are drawn by Republicans anyway. What does that matter?
So you have to be in that location when you take office. Well, no, I get what you're saying.
Well, I mean, but I believe that is I believe that is the rule in play, and that's what she's willing to do. If she wins, she will move into district, because by the time she moves in, she'll move in before she takes her seat, because her seat doesn't exist. So as soon as whatever the take the seat day happens, that seat doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I think they just passed a bill this year for statewide. I think at least for statewide elections, about you having to be a residency clause, basically. You had to be a resident of that district, or at least in that area, or at least that state for a year or two.
I feel like the state's
but I think
okay,
that was for federal.
Right, and I think, and I even say the district's okay, with the exception of if your district gets changed on you in process, blah, 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 blah.
Right, because, I mean, what happens if you build a really nice house and you love that place, and you're the opposing party, clearly the opposing party, and then people just said, you know what, let's really fuck with them, and let's make them move.
I agree that they were...
That'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, they would 100% they'd fucking do that.
You want to keep your job? Well,
looks like you're going to move.
And I agree that they would do that specifically to her, but what I've been told from a right side reliable source is that the move for 90 was more about shifting 18 than it was about 90, or was about 13. It was more about Eddie Manis than it was about Gloria. That's what I've been told.
If that, let's just say for the sake of argument, that's true. That may be 1A, Eddie Manis, but that's 100% 1B.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
So it's not fucking 10 on the list.
Right. No, I agree with you. Is that it's
because if that was a prominent Republican that had been there for years, then the question is, do we have different ammo that we can use against Eddie Manis, because we don't want to have to worry about having this other person move?
No, 100%. It was two birds, one stone, whatever phrasing you want to use on it. But but yeah, what I had heard on it was that they were more concerned about making it harder for Eddie than they were about Gloria, because Gloria's already there.
And let's also keep in mind here, she's no threat, which is hilarious because she's the opposite party. Right, like so. She
is no threat because she's one of like 30 in the state.
Exactly. So, like at the end of the day, the threat is the person in your party, which is fucking insane. Like it's insane.
Well, because he's not a Republican.
Sure, I understand what you're saying, but
he's
like just
the wolf in sheep clothes.
Let that shit sink in for a second. That at the end of the day, the larger threat to you
is your team,
is your fucking team members potentially not falling in line.
Right.
Like oh man, like.
But that's just it. That is it. That has been the entire show.
I agree with you.
We are an hour plus in.
I know.
This is all we've really been talking about.
Listen, I know. It sounds like I'm shitting on you left and right on this situation, but like this is the reason why I would never get into politics, because I can't play this fucking game.
I'm not asking you to get into politics.
I'm not saying that you are asking me.
I'm asking you to start fucking voting, though.
I'm probably not going to do that.
Because the problem is that apathy is not a vote. They don't fucking care. They're glad you don't vote. They're happy if you don't vote.
That doesn't persuade me any better. You need a different argument than that. It's not that I think that you're a
Thanks, Sam. You're the best.
I'm not suggesting that you are telling me that I should run. I'm telling myself that eventually I should, and I'm telling myself at the same time that I can't get into this fucking shit show.
I get that.
You know, that's really what I'm saying.
Although I did say, what was it, Sam, last week, that I will run for 18 next time? I think I said I'll run for 18 next time.
Okay.
We're going to run for something.
I mean, I really want to run for trustee or Knox County clerk or something like that, because that sounds like the easiest job that's got the good pay.
Commission.
18 doesn't get paid shit.
I want to talk about the legal system at some point.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be now because I had to piss, but at some point I do want to talk about that.
Okay, well, we'll start talking about the legal system right now. Sam, tell me all you know about the legal system, sir. You can talk about that... we can go back to that conversation about them bouncing the kids' head off a desk, or the guys with the beans. That was a good one.
Huh?
The beans guys. I love that one. That was a great one last week. We can talk about this delicious non-sponsored water.
It took them a week, I guess, because of backlogs to get it.
I don't fucking care.
To get it tested.
Fucking care. That's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. The rule, the fallback to rule, no matter what, is if we can't find out within 24 hours, we gotta let them go. Like literally, the rule at play should be: if you pull somebody over and you suspect that they have a large amount of drugs, that you call dispatch or you call your supervisor and be like, "Hey, what's the backlog on testing?" And they say, "We're looking like 3 days before we can test any shit. Have a great day. Sorry we bothered you. Goodbye." That should be the rule for cops. That I mean, that's one that's fixable legally speaking. That could be written in law. It could be very easily written in law. You could detain somebody for a certain period of time on suspicion of a substance that's on their person.
Well, I mean,
but it has to be within a certain window that you can test it, or they're free to go.
Codified in the Constitution about it. Was it right? You have a right to a speedy trial for criminal offenses. But
a trial and
right.
Because I mean, the cash bail system's fucked in and of itself. That's the other subset of this whole thing. But you're not even with the Beans thing is that you're not even actually levying charges yet. You're holding them on suspicion of illicit substance.
Right.
You haven't charged them with drug trafficking because you don't know if it's drugs yet. You shouldn't be able to hold somebody for a fucking week plus because that person can't afford bail. I don't even know if you get bail at that point, but assuming even if they do and they couldn't afford it, you don't keep somebody in jail for 2 weeks.
I think I was saying they couldn't afford it. I think they had been charged under the suspicion of.
Have you heard the Bean story, right?
Beans.
A couple of dudes here driving through from Florida had like 50 pounds of beans, got arrested. They thought it was heroin. They sat in jail for 2 weeks and they realized it was actually just beans and then let them go.
I have not heard that.
Oh, I know.
It was 4 different people.
We've already covered it last week. Four people? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, you wanted to talk legal system.
I mean, there was weird things involved in it. As far as like all their stories, that doesn't matter.
I don't care.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
I don't care. I don't care if they don't speak English. I don't care if they can't translate and their stories don't go well. I don't care.
You're right.
If you don't know that it's fucking heroin, you don't get to hold on to them.
You're
Period.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's fucking stupid.
I agree with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Woo!
I'm serious.
God damn it.
Do you disagree? Do you disagree with that?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Forget about what I was going to say about the legal. We'll get to that in a second. I want to hear Sam's point of view on this. You disagree with what Seth is saying about detaining?
Yeah.
You're okay with somebody being held in jail for 2 weeks.
I just want to hear. I just want to hear the rationale. I guess is all I'm trying. That's all I'm asking. If you choose to share it, I guess.
He's thinking. He's allowed to think.
I mean, all of it does depend on the situation. I mean, I'm assuming you've got those multiple people. You've got the police officers that are able to articulate their reason for suspicion. But then to be able to be hold, I'm assuming they saw some kind of judge at some point.
All right, I will try to assist you.
So the judge made the ruling to continue to hold the people.
I will try to assist you in that Sam does have the standard assumption. You have the standard assumption that the authorities are acting in good faith.
Wrong.
I think that's fair for Sam's point of view. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong.
It's wrong.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
I am saying that.
Sam in general, because the phrase he uses quite often is that I think the people that are in the positions know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, or something like that. Am I crazy?
I disagree with that.
And I think, and if that is the point of view you're coming through it from, maybe. I don't agree with that. You don't agree with that, obviously.
You're providing moral relativism is what you're providing.
I'm providing the point of view that I've ascertained from Sam and talking over many episodes.
I appreciate you boiling that down to moral relativism. I would like for Sam to finish his thought.
Okay.
If he chooses to. If not, then we can talk about circle jerking again if you want.
Well, can I re-ask your question?
Jesus Christ, will you let the guy fucking talk?
Probably not.
I think that's basically what I was trying to say, that in this particular case, I see it as the police pulled them over. From what I heard, they all gave conflicting stories. There was at least $10,000 worth of cash. They were apparently
cash money?
Yeah.
Woo! Crazy.
I think there was like 4 or 5 like burner cell phones. So a lot of things that pointed to that this very well likely could be illicit activity. I mean, who smuggles pounds of beans?
I don't know.
Is that what it was? Illegal beans?
Were the beans illegal? That's a good question.
I don't know if they've actually. I don't know if the Department of Agriculture has come after them for smuggling illegal.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there is law on the books that you cannot bring a certain amount of beans into the state of Tennessee without paperwork.
Here's the thing. What county was this?
Depending on strains.
What county was this?
So it was in Knox County.
Okay. We have canines in Knox County.
Right.
And presumably those canines can determine whether a bean is heroin or not.
We think the story that we when we were talking about it a couple weeks ago or last week, that our recollection of the story is that a canine alerted. And that kicked it up a notch.
Okay. Which I'm also against, by the way.
I agree with you on that one, too.
I mean, I don't like illegal search and seizures. There was a Tennessee Supreme Court case back a few years ago where somebody, just a side note, 30 seconds, somebody got pulled over. The police officer requested to search the vehicle. The guy said, you can if you get a warrant. Second police officer shows up, requests to search the vehicle. It was declined unless they had a warrant. They brought a canine unit out. The canine circled the vehicle, alerted that there was something inside, and they found something inside. To me, that's still an illegal search. It's an illegal sniff at that point, which is what the Supreme Court case is years ago. I have an issue with that because if
did it get struck down?
I think they're still arguing it. So if you see it and if it's in full view, then I get it. But how far down the rabbit hole do we want to go here?
I mean, what are you trying to hide? Like, what does it matter if you don't have anything?
Because the laws of the United States of America allow me to request the warrant. That's what. I understand. I'm saying to the people that say that, it's fucking stupid.
I agree.
It's the dumbest fucking argument in the world.
The most frustrating thing in the world to me is that the answer of it's none of your fucking business isn't okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It is absolutely none of your goddamn business.
That should be more than enough. It's none of your business.
100%. Now, if you think I'm doing something illegal, get a damn judge's fucking warrant, and you can come in here and do whatever the fuck you want.
Show me your probable cause.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the fact that I'm a guy, because again, on car stuff too, to me, it's like, okay, I have a taillight out. That's probable cause.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you with what you're saying on that too. I don't like that either.
And it's like, I mean, it's just it invites the fishing game.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
And okay. Woohoo! You found a one nugget of weed in the floorboard ground in because a couple weeks ago I had a buddy that dropped some shit and it's been sitting there forever.
Or I smoked it. Like if you didn't see it, you would have known if I would have had a fucking taillight out.
Right.
Like I have insurance. It's up to date. My driver's license is up to date. Registration is up to date. There's nothing else wrong with the car. I'm obeying all the traffic, everything. But I got a taillight out.
Right. So well, see, my favorite is the last time I got pulled over was a license plate light being out.
Yeah, I've been pulled over for that too.
Fucking gross.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm sorry. Can we go back to sorry? Let's go back to Sam.
Why is it okay?
Why is it okay that they are detained for 10 days because
they were Mexicans?
I agree that 10 days is very excessive. I've been reading every little story, trying to see is there more to this?
How many days is not excessive?
I mean, I went beyond myself in saying that 24 hours would be a semi-reasonable deadline.
3 or 4 is stretching it.
23:59, you got to get him out of there.
I mean, I think that's I think that's more than.
Yeah.
I think 20 seconds is more than enough.
I agree with that too.
But to give a little bit of ground to let's give a little bit of space here, and let's give a little room for things take more than 10 seconds to figure out. But if you can't figure it out pretty fucking quick, you're kidnapping somebody.
I agree with that.
I mean, that's completely. The only way. That's the
completely agree with you.
Like that's one of the things that in my diving in further into libertarian dorkness or whatever, it's like when you change the terms of what the government does into what it is in reality on certain items, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes a lot more sense. When just because they have a gun and a badge doesn't mean they get to take me wherever they fucking want to.
I completely agree with you.
Because if I did that to you, that's kidnapping or aggravated assault.
I completely agree.
Something of that nature.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Why do they get to do it? Because they have a gun and a badge?
And they went to some fucking 6-week training bullshit?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have law degrees. I mean, they are just normal citizens. I don't know the law. There are a lot of lawyers that don't know the law inside and out. And so, like,
we both know one.
I disagree with that. He helped me out quite a bit. That was the law thing, the legal thing I was going to bring up.
Okay.
Actually, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But, like, we put people through a police academy, and people go to college and spend their career as lawyers, and they don't know the law inside and out, and yet somehow or another, as citizens, we expect the police officers to know the law. Come on, like that's insane. Also,
what I mean, like the reality is like this goes to be this is one of those things that in government and politics, in the real conversation is like, what do we want this body to do? Like, what do we actually want them to do? And I don't think that there is a clear understanding of what we actually want police to do. Because we get the great vagary. I want to be able to walk down the street and not have to worry about shit. Well, like, you have these big, vague, general terms, but that's not. I mean, specifics. Like specific. What does it take for me to be able to walk up and down my street safely?
Are we finished with the Sam thing?
I don't know, Sam. You got more to say?
Not really. Not a profound point.
Look, because again, like to give a little ground to what I think you're trying to get to, at least, is that we expect police to keep us safe, and we expect the police to do something.
Do we? Do we?
I don't personally. No.
Then who does?
I do.
You expect the police to keep us safe?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a simple hypothetical.
I don't want to try and go do a citizen's arrest on some guy doing armed robbery. You jumping in on that?
They don't want to do it either.
Yeah, the hell they don't want to do it either.
They don't have to. There was a Supreme Court case recently clarifying the rules of what police have to do in a situation. They don't have to put themselves in harm's way to protect you from somebody else. If AC's sitting here in the chair and points a gun at you, and I'm a cop, I have zero obligation as a police officer to put myself in any sort of danger to protect you, the citizen, the potential victim. That is Supreme Court law. Doesn't matter which government agency, doesn't matter what state.
But more often than not, I would say at least 7 to 8 out of 10 of those police officers would engage.
I don't expect the police officers to keep us safe because I don't see safe the incidents that would fall under keeping me safe. It is going to be rare that I'm going to, probably not ever in my lifetime that I'm going to be in the middle of a business where an armed robbery is going on. I think that's an extreme example. When I think of safe, I think of. So earlier today, I was looking at houses, and the housing market is terrible. Make sure I throw that in there. I was driving down Kingston Pike, and there were 3 different stoplights out, like completely out on Kingston Pike. Now, if we want to say that we expect police officers to keep us safe because they need to make sure that they've got their fucking sirens on, their mount me hats, and they stop people and allow them to travel down Kingston Pike, then I'll give you that. But at the same time, you could just have some random person that does that. It doesn't have to have somebody with a badge and a uniform on. So
Right. I mean, I've seen that situation happen in real life where just somebody stopped and said,
fucking KUB does that.
I'm going to sit out here and wave traffic. Like not even KUB, just random citizen because there was a thing that happened.
I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be some sort of official, government person that does that sort of thing. It can be anybody. It doesn't take any special training to do that. I'm not suggesting that police are lazy and incompetent and they shouldn't be here. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just suggesting that we sometimes give them more credit than they deserve. I guess is what I'm saying. And it's not a winning ticket item. You say that sort of thing, and they're saying defund the police and all that bullshit. But in reality, I don't know what having this always gets me every single time. A state trooper guns you, has a radar gun and gets you for 82 and a 70. Is that keeping us safe? I'm arguing that the answer to that is no, because if you guys remember, just a few years ago, the speed limit down here on 40 was 55. Is it 60 now or 65? 65 maybe?
I think it's plenty of stretches are 70.
Right, right here in the city.
I think it's like 60, 65.
Okay. So the people that got a ticket at 71, they're going 71 miles an hour in a 55 back 5 years ago when it was 55 through the city, right here. Mm-hmm. So they weren't safe. But you go 71 now in a 65, you're not going to get a ticket. Does that mean everybody's unsafe? I've got an issue with speed limit as a thing.
I think and we had this conversation a couple episodes ago, but I think that a clarification of terms on what the expectation is and what it means to be safe and what kind of safety protocols we want a police department to do is not the conversation that is being had. It's more or less cops. It's more or less intrusive. It's usually more intrusive anymore than anything. But we're not having the because it bleeds into 1,000 different things. Like that's one of the biggest things in school board. Anytime I'm talking to school board people, it's the general income and safety of a neighborhood has more impact on a school than any amount of dollars we could shuffle into that school.
I agree with that. I guess what I'm trying to say as like an overarching theme is I feel like that we throw around phrases like safety and keeping us safe, and really all we're doing is we're allowing an invasion of privacy. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree 100%.
That
100%.
It allows us. It's like, the Patriot Act bullshit that Bush passed. It was a cloak of safety, and in reality, all we're allowing for is an intrusion of privacy. That's what I'm saying.
No, I 100% agree with that. Speaking of,
I thought that was hysterical, and like, there's a part of me that so after this whole Trump shit.
Hold on, time out 1 second.
Yeah.
One man.
Anyway, as you were, I got
to launch
the great President George Bush on air with us right now.
Russian elections are rigged.
Hey, G-Dub.
Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process.
He doesn't sound good.
The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia.
He's how many years younger than Biden?
And the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
The way he laughed at it.
Anyway.
The way he laughed at it.
75.
What did he say?
I'm 75.
The
way he laughed at it, though, is like perfect.
Well,
he caught himself very quickly.
So go back to second 30. Go to 30. Watch it. As soon as he says it, he shrugged his shoulders and said, "Yeah, you could say it there too." Like when he said Iraq, just hit play. Watch his shoulder.
Oh no, he's this is the most blatant Freudian slip in the history of presidents.
But like
Iraq. Anyway,
go back. Go back. Maybe it's like
Iraq. Anyway,
27. Sorry,
invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
That too.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
To me, this clarifies the point. This you haven't been here. We had Max on the show. We were talking about Ukraine. Max had a great point. He's like, "Is this the most boring war we've ever been in?" I was like, "Well, it's because we're not in it." But the coverage isn't there. It's not as exciting. Whatever. But,
I didn't agree with his view on that.
But
what's his view?
I don't remember.
No, that it was boring. There was nothing going on. I'm like, I read stories about it every day.
I do too.
I'm like, there's a bunch of fucked up. Like, I don't think it's boring at all. I mean,
we said $40 billion over, but we got they passed a $28 million bill to get us some baby formula, so that's good.
And the Republicans voted against that, by the way, because it's a political talking point for them.
Sure. I mean, I get it. It's 100% like it's normal, but I mean, it's like
it's Biden's fault that the baby formula shortage.
Yeah, even though the Republicans said no. I mean, that's the political gain out of that. Anyway, what were you saying about Ukraine and George W. Bush?
Oh, it's just like okay, because like early in the Ukraine crisis, we were talking about like what the fuck's going on? Well, it's like if like we had Cuba, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that kind of shit. It's like if the roles were reversed in the conversation, how would we react?
To what?
To if Russia was putting something right next to us or something like that. It's like, how would we react? And that was like, well, we can't have that conversation. We can't think about it that way. We can't converse.
We can.
In that sense. I agree. I think we could, but it's like, that's the thing to me is that.
Who said we can't?
It's not that we can. It's just that's not how the rhetoric goes. That's not how the media at large is talking about it. Like, I don't hear anybody talking about how it's like, well, what would we do? Have you heard that conversation? For like any media sources, like, what would we do if China invaded Mexico?
But why would we have that conversation?
What do you mean?
You just said why wouldn't we?
Yeah, I'm saying why would we?
Why would we? Because if China had come and tried to install a government in Canada, we would react to that.
Correct.
So with the whole Ukraine situation and all that kind of stuff going on, why would we expect Russia not to react to that?
Russia or Ukraine?
Russia would not react to what's going on in Ukraine prior to their invasion of. Because there was a lot of shit going on with us.
They were building troops up on the Ukrainian border for like months.
I agree.
I don't understand what you're asking. I'm sorry. You're saying what would our reaction be? We would attempt to kill all of them.
Right.
So I think that's it's a 5-second conversation and then we would move on. I don't know why that's an important piece to talk about.
I don't remember either. I lost it.
All right.
Anyway. Want to do the George Bush thing again? I don't know.
It is funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
I hated that son of a bitch when he was in office, but fuck, man, during that 4 years of Trump, I would have killed to have that motherfucker back. At least he's funny.
I remember used to think like that he kind of admitted that he was dumb, but he at least surrounded himself with some intelligent people.
Listen, you could say Dick Cheney's an asshole, but he knew how to navigate the fucking world.
Yeah, he got shot in the face.
Well, he didn't get shot. Scooter Libby is the one that got shot.
He knew how to shoot something.
And Scooter Libby apologized to him for being shot. That's the fucked up part. How powerful are you that you shoot your friend and the friend who got shot apologized?
I mean,
I should have had more orange on. So.
I guess.
I don't know.
Like if you look that up, it's hilarious.
If I walked in front of you while you were shooting, if we were doing a duck hunt.
No, that's my fault. That is absolutely not yours. You're going to be moving anyway because you're in the woods. So I should just assume you're going to be walking around somewhere.
Yeah. You should be looking for me. I don't sit still.
I'm looking for Susan's daughter. Susan's daughter around here somewhere. I'm trying to shoot her ass.
What? How did I become some weird New York Jew?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know where that accent came from. Is that what I sound like?
Sometimes, yeah. Speaking of that, you need to airdrop that fucking video. I know you did one time, but I only got like 2 minutes of it.
I don't know what's going on with that. It's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Did we do your legal thing?
Yeah, sorry.
What was that?
This is going to be anticlimactic, but anyway. So, October the 2nd, I got
smooth transitions. That's what we master here at the show.
All right. October the 2nd, I got a speeding ticket in a random-ass fucking county that I didn't know existed in Tennessee.
Which county? I'm curious.
I'm not going to bring that up, at least on air.
We don't want to get too specific, check.
Yeah, let's just say it's fucking podunk as hell. I got it in October.
That narrows it down to like 80-something of the 110.
Well, it's south of Knoxville because I was going to Atlanta to a baseball game. So, highway patrol guy was driving in the opposite direction as me and alleges that I was driving 82 and a 55. I was contending to myself, at least, that it's pretty impressive that somebody could be driving the opposite direction, going all so fast, and gunning me at the same time to get that value. Anyway, I went to court in, I think, 1st of March, end of February, 1st of March.
In said county that we're not mentioning.
In said county that I'm not mentioning. Also, side note, I went to the courtroom that day. That court's air conditioning heater element was out, and so we had to go to a different area that was not a courtroom. Yeah, that's Tennessee for you. Also, I want to talk about we elect judges in Tennessee. That's fucked up.
That's fucking weird.
Really, it's fucked up.
It's fucking weird.
Anyway, so I pled not guilty. They had a hearing scheduled for, I don't know, like last something, one of the days last week. Brought a lawyer buddy with me. So here's the fucked up part. So he's like, hey, I want to get there at 8:30. I'm like, okay. Why? He says, I need to smooze with the clerk and the bailiff, and I want to see if I can talk to the judge in her chambers before the 9 o'clock start time. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I get in. He says, we walk in together. I sit in the courtroom, and I can hear him out in the hallway because it's a small fucking court. I can hear him in the hallway just like talking a whole bunch of him hauling bullshit about the people in this area, and we're from Knoxville, and you guys seem awfully nice, and all this other bullshit that doesn't make any sense except for what he's actually trying to do, which is to smooth over everybody. So he gets us first on the docket at 9 o'clock. First of all, we say the fucking Pledge of Allegiance, which is really fucking weird. We say the Pledge of Allegiance as soon as she walks in. That's fucking weird.
It's a little weird. I agree with that.
It's more than just a little weird. It's fucking weird. Anyway.
Did you stand up?
I had to. I'm already there for something that I want to get out of. I don't want to, pay the ticket. I want it tossed out.
I just meant you stayed up. Yeah, you stood up for the judge, regardless.
Yeah, but then we had to put our hands over our hearts and say the fucking.
I'm trying to visualize this story in my head.
She walks out.
You stand up, judge.
She turns to the flag and she said, "Now we are going to say the pledge."
So you didn't even have a chance to sit back down after the honorable judge. Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify.
Yeah,
Go.
So anyway, we're first on the docket because
no prayer.
No, but we did say one nation under God, which was also weird. Anyway, so my lawyer friend got us first on the docket because he was, kissing ass on the way in. And so she says my name and says, yeah, this hearing is scheduled for a couple hours from now. The cop is coming in. You guys are going to have a hearing on this. Sounds great. So my paperwork goes to they have an attorney general there. I guess if counties are small, they are over several counties at a time. The attorney general gets the paperwork. The next person is called, blah, blah, blah. My lawyer was then called by the assistant attorney general and said, hey, you came all the way here from Knoxville. Your guy has a lawyer. What do you guys want? He says he wants it tossed out. He did a online driver thing back in February. He's like, February? The hearing wasn't until May. I said, yeah, he was trying to preemptively do it. He said, sounds good. Sign here. Get out of here. So I'm just thinking to myself, we're walking out of this thing. We're deconstructing this whole bullshit. So you're telling me that I know the answer to this is yes, and I'm not trying to be naive. You're telling me that if you just have a lawyer that walks in, smoozes with the court, you get there before the cop gets there, you pretend like you're a good citizen, maybe you are, maybe you're not, you do a bullshit $60 online driving course with a certificate.
See, I think I have a take on this that's not what you expect.
I'm saying it's an access problem. I'm saying that the legal system is set up to more often than not punish people either without money or without access, which I know is not some novel fucking concept.
Right.
But we watched it in real time happen. Now, the cop had no idea. He showed up at 11 o'clock thinking that he was going to be at a hearing, and
they're like, no, we're done with that.
Actually, we're not. We dismissed it. Whatever it was that you said that he did, we were saying we don't care, and so we kicked him out of here, and he's going back to Knoxville. Probably home by now.
I mean, so the question is, what is the goal? Was the goal
right?
Is the goal to collect money from you? Because that is not the goal that they achieved in the process.
Correct.
Honestly,
did you still pay a court cost?
No.
Honestly, if the goal is to damage you punitively, they did it.
I would say they didn't. I would argue they did.
I mean, you paid for the $60 class, and they at least assumed that you paid for the lawyer.
Hold on. I may not have paid for that. That could have been something that I know somebody there too. This is an access thing. They didn't ask for proof of purchase.
To their knowledge, if their goal was to punish you, quote, punish you financially, they took $60 for said class and however much it cost for your lawyer for the time spent. Now, whether you spent the money on the class or the lawyer for that matter,
if you have a lawyer, know any better. I don't know. If you have a lawyer for a traffic ticket, the chances of you spending that money and having access, it's probably it's low that you spent the money on that. Like, who the hell brings a fucking lawyer for a fucking speeding ticket?
You know what I mean? If it matters to you to not have it on your record, then
you're giving me. You're like, I understand what you're saying. More often times than not, what you're saying is probably not happening.
I agree with that.
That's what I'm suggesting.
But I'm not saying it's the truth either. But I'm just saying if the goal was to punish you punitive, or if the punitive part of it was your money, whether they got it or not. They got you to spend the money. They think so, at least.
I completely
it could at least be like the optics of it. Like if they brought a lawyer, like they're about to pick apart some part of the case. Unless
that's what I'm saying. I don't think any of that. Like the judge, if the judge spent 5 seconds thinking about this, the judge did not think at all that we did some harm. We offered.
We paid our penance.
Yeah, absolutely not. There's no way that any lawyer is going to drive down there and do that. They're going to make a phone call to the court and not actually drive down there to do that.
I've seen videos of one guy that travels around. He's a lawyer and is a part that gets people out of tickets, but will find like the finer points of the law, like. I think as far as in most states, you have to get if you have a radar gun, you have to have it tested at least calibrated at least like once a day or once a week. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about cases he had been through and asking the officer. He was like, "All right, so how do you calibrate it?" And he was like,
"Why didn't you guys just call down?
There's a metal sign, just down the street." And he was like, "Have you measured that off?"
You have to appreciate the rabbit hole-ness that him and I enjoy. I
appreciate it 100%.
I wanted the experience, actually.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous when you really think about. I had worked the night before. I had to drive down, and I had to work the night. I had to work that night too.
I know you. I get it.
But I'm just saying, I wanted the experience.
But in the conversation with said lawyer, was that brought up as an option?
Which one?
Can I just call this in? And
do anything? He said there's a number of things you can do. I'm like,
let's go.
If you're free, I'll buy lunch.
Right.
Right. That's exactly what happened.
Which again, if the court's goal was to punitively damage you, which I agree that's probably not their thought process, but they did. In their minds, they did.
I don't agree with that, dude.
I don't know if it's true or not.
Why was I driving down there? Why was I driving down there in the first place?
To go to court?
No. Originally.
No, they don't know.
Well, then they don't know that I don't live in that area or have friends there in that area. So, like, driving there is not.
They know that you're not. That you're not local. It's on your driver's license. It's on your license plate.
Well, I'm not saying that I don't. I may have a house there. I may have family there. I may visit there every weekend. I'm saying that the driving to the court cannot be used as a potential punitive action.
No, but for as far as they're concerned, you paid for a lawyer, you paid for the class, and you paid for the drive down there for the day.
Most people wouldn't show up for that. So they're like, oh, shit, he showed up.
We're going to have to agree to disagree and move on this. I don't see any of that as a punitive thing whatsoever. They gained nothing out of that. They did not gain, which should be their main goal. The punitive action of like,
no,
he's not going to...
No, I like that part. I'm sorry.
The punitive action of hey, we're going to teach him not to do this again. That's not going to happen. Have you looked at my record?
I know you, yes.
That's not going to happen.
So you do it all over again? No.
Yeah.
No qualms?
We had that conversation.
Especially now.
Especially now, exactly. 100%. We had that conversation coming back, and I'm like, listen, man, like, hypothetically, I'm not telling you I would do this because, I don't want to waste your time, even though this is a sociological experiment for him, too, even though he's a lawyer. Like, you're telling me that I could get a speeding ticket next week, and we would do this entire fucking thing over again? And the question would be, how many speeding tickets have you had in the last 4 years? The answer is none. Well, in theory, you'd never have any. Like, if you did this all the time...
Right, and if you have a specific lawyer buddy that's willing to play and go down the rabbit hole with you.
Which he is.
Right. But, again, from their perspective, they don't know that you have the relationship. They think you took the class. They think they know you spent the money to drive there, whether it was local or not.
I'm telling you that I don't...
I agree that they don't think of it that way. I think that I agree that brass tacks of it... They just said this is
We don't want to fuck with this.
This is gonna take more effort, and we're not gonna get anything in results. So fuck off.
Yes,
I agree that's probably the reality of it.
Yes,
but in my Sam brain version of it, and being generous to the court,
they're going to go out there and search my car. Is that what you're saying?
No, in the generous version.
I mean, I've got a pound of fucking Starbucks in the trunk. Are they going to arrest me?
In the generous version of it, they could say to themselves, at least they could justify the actions that they took. It's like, well, he spent the money on the class, he spent the money on the attorney. I know you didn't actually do it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they don't think that. Him and I had this conversation on the way back. They're thinking we checked boxes to make it challenging for them. To the court, the boxes can be checked in ways that doesn't require money, and the court is fully aware of that. There are ways in which to get lawyers involved that don't require any sort of money. It could be volunteer work. Like, they didn't know what firm he was with. They didn't know like how many years he's practiced. It could have been some sort of, hey, I'm doing X amount of volunteer time for whatever. That it
could have been your brother.
It could have been, yeah.
Right.
It's just, I don't know.
I could be arrested for doing that.
Okay.
If he has his Tennessee bar license, he could do it.
I'm saying if he doesn't and he portrays himself as.
No, you're right, but I'm just saying for their sake.
If you brought your brother in or whatever.
Right, for their but he's saying what AC was saying is that for their sake they don't know if it's a cost for this attorney. Right. This attorney could be a free attorney, whether it's a buddy, whether it's a family member, whether it's some
but more
volunteer.
You're not getting a free lawyer.
And he says sit in the front row of the courtroom, because after the front row is where counsel sits. There were probably 6 or 8 times where he turned around to me to whisper something, and it had nothing to do with legal stuff. It'd be like, hey, you know, Baltimore's playing tonight. And it was like, what are you doing? And afterwards, what he was doing is to make it seem like him and I are talking about strategy. You know, like, it's a fucking dog and pony show.
I mean, some of it is. I mean, like we talked about, it's just crazy, weird sociological and psychological experiences.
Oh, fuck, man. It was... I would have spent $500 to have that experience. And if that was option 1, option 2 would be spend $200 to pay the ticket and the court costs. I would have spent $500 for the experience to get out of there. Did you hear that last thing I said? So he told me to sit in the front row.
The whisper thing? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, so all of this is a charade? Like, you're wanting people to think that you and I are talking strategy about a speeding ticket? Like, it's hilarious.
So the reality is, if we're going to talk legal system stuff,
okay,
is, I guess the bottom line I'm getting to from the story, at least, and from further conversation on it, is that the whole thing's a game, all of it. We talked about that as the overarching theme the entire way back. He said it took me 3 years post law school to understand that all of this is a game. All of this is a game. Okay, so it's not about changing behaviors of people.
Correct. Yep. 100%.
It's not about punishing the bad. It's not about...
Correct.
So what's it about?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him that.
Because, I mean, again, because I think because you had a little sub-tangent that we paused on in the Tennessee elects judges being weird.
Isn't it fucking weird?
It's really fucking weird.
Like, it's beyond anything that I could ever fucking imagine.
And I mean, and here and a doubly weird here in Knox County is we elect law director. I remember having this conversation, and I apologize to you guys. This is one of the few mistakes I've ever made in the show.
You said few?
Yeah, that was the irony I was trying to put out there.
What?
One of the many mistakes I made in the show, but when in the 2020 election cycle, we had a ballot item to remove the law director from an elective office. And we talked about it at length going into that. And I'm pretty sure Sam went and voted wrong from what we decided upon, but he actually voted right, in my opinion, in hindsight. We should not elect a law director. It should not be an elected position. It makes zero fucking sense.
I wasn't sure if I even...
you might have done
I think
it right.
I remember like reading that thing for a good solid minute, like rereading over it again, because it was...
It's confusing as fuck. And the reason why it's confusing as fuck is
just in how it was stated.
Because the law department...
I don't know if I'm for or against this.
The law department, by definition, has to write it.
Right.
So for a little bit of context, County Commission, it's not County Commission, it's the Charter Review Board, which includes County Commission and some other people or whatever, decided that they wanted to put on a ballot an amendment to the county charter. That amendment would be that the law director's office is no longer elected. The law director's office says, no, we don't want to do that. And the charter review says, well, we voted on it. It's going to be a ballot item. Well, the law department gets to write the ballot item, and they get to put the verbiage on. And that's their state constitutional right to do so. And so they wrote it fucked up. But the reality is, it doesn't make any sense that we elect them. It makes zero sense. And it doesn't make sense we elect judges either.
Right. So let me throw a couple things in there. So when the judge does the Pledge of Allegiance, is she doing the Pledge of Allegiance because she wants to do the Pledge of Allegiance, or is she doing the Pledge of Allegiance because she knows that her constituents are going to vote her back in when she's up for re-election again? Like walking down the hallway, there are pictures, just framed pictures of like bars and like darkness and chairs and a toilet, like in a picture. Nothing else, like no like justice or like freedom or any of that shit. It was just like randomly placed pictures of like essentially incarcerations. Well, what you would think being incarcerated would look like going down the hallway of this courtroom or of the courthouse. And I'm just like, this is intentionally placed propaganda, is what this is. Like, you want people to come in there and feel
be
like,
afraid.
Yeah, like feel like, or maybe not, maybe be afraid, but also feel like justice is going to happen here. We will find it. It's like, is that necessary?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like your aesthetics, the things that you decide to put on the walls here. You want pictures of bars and cots? Like, what does that serve? Except for, we're tough on crime here in the great city of, I'm not going to say it, but like, what?
I'm going to just go with Ooltewah.
It was much further south than that.
In the state?
Yes.
I mean, Chattanooga's not podunk, so...
Would you stop digging into it?
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
between.
I'm agreeing with Sam here. Can we just have this conversation off air? That was the fucking point, and the dumbass just sits there and says, "No, that can't be right. I know my fucking Tennessee geography."
You didn't have to answer and give it out. My apologies.
I am trying to give it out to you. It's south of Ooltewah.
Anyway, Macon, Georgia, everybody. It
wasn't in Macon. It's not in Tennessee.
So what's the point of the justice system again?
I don't know. You'll have to ask lawyers.
Let me tell you something. It's a game. It's a show.
Yeah, it's a fucking show.
I mean, I've always assumed it was a grift. It was a money making scheme.
Oh goddamn! I'm trying not to be dramatic here. Of the 30 experiences in my life that I hope that I don't lose when I get Alzheimer's, I hope that this makes a list. Because like you just sit back and just shut the fuck up and watch some of this stuff. It is just like you're like, and he had never been to this county before, ever, to practice, to represent anybody, anything. So he didn't know anybody. And by the time he was walking out, like he had like cards from the clerks and like had the bailiff's phone number and like all of this shit. And it was just because, we're from the big city of Knoxville. What? Like I'd got off the night before. I met him in the parking garage of a healthcare place. I'm changing clothes to like get into like well-dressed, courtroom clothes. He goes, "What are you taking your scrubs off for?" I'm like,
"That actually, yeah." I was gonna say.
I'm like, dude, I've been in there for fucking 13 hours. He said, "Nah, we're playing this card. We're gonna fucking play this thing until the fucking cows come home. Keep it on." I'm like, "All right, I got you."
I get it.
Anyway,
I say, because it ties the two together. The two together between what the police are there to do, air quotes. And then what the system is supposed to do with it.
Sam says they're there to keep us safe.
Don't look at me.
What else are they there for?
I mean, if you want my actual answer,
that's what
I'm asking.
Okay, here, my actual answer, and I say this all the time to the person that's about 100 yards that way. More oftentimes than not, police officers are there to fuck with you, to find things that are going to get money to the city.
They're revenue collectors.
That's how
you
you
sound a lot like libertarian tonight. I'm just saying.
I'm actually not against libertarianism. I love getting a rise out of you. One, and number two, my concern with libertarianism, and I don't want to go down this road again. My concern with libertarianism is there are a lot of fucking dumbasses that have actions cloaked under the veil of libertarianism that allow moral relativism for them because it's good for me and this should work and I'm a autonomous human being and so whatever, and that doesn't work all the time. That's my concern with libertarianism.
Well, but okay, I get it. But the problem is, can the state fix the problem with that person?
Can they?
Will they? I guess might be a better word.
Well, they will because the police are out there to
to protect you from them.
Yeah,
because those police are smarter than you and them.
Hopefully, you understand my sarcasm.
I guess I just haven't had enough shitty interactions with police.
I've had a lot.
I mean, I had Spangler like a year ago.
I mean,
just did a random show.
Threatened to take me to jail for doing 10 over the speed limit when I was a teenager.
That's horseshit.
And to what end? What is that? What good is that?
Oh, I knew he couldn't.
But I'm gonna scare you. I'm gonna scare you.
Well, he could. He could detain you, right?
How old were you?
17.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna scare you, little kid. I'm gonna scare you. I'm gonna threaten to kidnap you to straighten you out.
So let me just try to be transparent here. I do think that there are there are police officers that want to do good things for the community. I also think that there are some police officers that are police officers because it's a power trip for them. And
I agree with that, definitely. Yeah.
And I feel like that in my experience, I've had more of the power trip people than I've had people that are trying to make their communities better. That's just me.
So the real question is, what is the motivational difference? Like
the one that wants a power trip, it's a psychological problem.
I understand that, but I'm saying, like, as far as the incentive of the state to fill the rosters of a police department, how do they incentivize the ones that want to do good for their community?
They don't.
How could they? Incentivize the ones that want to do well for their community as opposed to the ones that want to wear the badge and the gun and go around telling people what to do. Because I agree with you 100%. Because again,
a lot of it goes to training. If you have a good training officer that is training a lot of good cadets in the proper way to do policing, you can have a great police force.
But the proper way to do policing goes into a policy issue, which is another one that falls hard into the whole kind of bullshittery of what is policing.
So I think one way you could do it is like the actual complaints that are valid. Like if you've went 20 years and you haven't had any like valid complaints of like harassment or like you haven't stuck your knee on somebody's fucking neck and killed them,
right?
Like that's I know that's an outlier. I'm being dramatic in that,
right?
But
well, because to me, with the beans conversation earlier, like what's the actual fallback from that? Like what's the fallout? Like what happens? Do those officers get fired? Probably not.
I think everybody in the system should be fired. I mean, anybody that has been affiliated with that should at least be reprimanded at the very least and be suspended without pay. Because if you're detaining somebody for 10 fucking days and you haven't figured out that it's actually not heroin and it's fucking Starbucks, you're either an idiot or you're doing it intentionally.
I like that Starbucks.
And neither one of those are good reasons to detain somebody for 10 fucking days. You should be fired. Like, I don't give a fuck how backed up your system is. You should not detain somebody for 10 fucking days. It should not happen.
And that's the thing to me. That's one of the problems is that logically, and honestly, logically, and I can make the argument for, well, it's not necessarily the officer's fault because they had reasonable suspicion given the mixed stories from the
I don't agree with that.
Whatevers or whatever, that they think there's something really, really real here, but then testing took too long and this, that, and the other. Like, and again, base level, no, I don't agree with it. I think the cops should be fired too, but I could get behind that because it's when it comes down to it, it's a policy issue. So the chief needs to be fired. Top level brass needs to be fired. This needs to be something where whoever the oversight is to the police department locally needs to be severely punished for it, and they may get some sort of lawsuit. But that doesn't do anything. All it does is punish me and you as residents. Not them.
Does it?
Well, I mean, that lawsuit payouts comes out of tax dollars.
I mean, okay.
I mean, how much of the
what's worse, the tax dollars? I mean, there's a fund for that. I mean, like that money's put aside.
I mean, they have insurance and stuff too. But I mean, again, but still, the more it gets tapped into, the more expensive that insurance is going to be.
Okay, but I mean, what are you going to do? Get rid of cops?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, there needs. I mean, to me, the idea that you and I have to pay the bill for that cop failure needs to be something that has extreme consequence, because that's a tax dollar issue.
I agree, and we also have to remember that they work for us.
Yeah,
like we pay their fucking paycheck, and so in these scenarios, you shouldn't detain me for 10 days because I mean, you work for me, goddammit.
Right, because this goes into a whole other set of stuff, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. It's late in the show anyway, but one of the things that I would like to see on my little list of kind of bullshit party things, I would like to see a more clarified budget. What taxes go where? I think that's very reasonable. Well specified. This tax goes here, this tax goes there, that kind of thing. Because I think that's one thing that we as citizens, if we could understand it, could have a better chance of having real impact on changing things correctly.
I agree.
Actually, and to be fair, I'm excited about this new cop, this new chief who we're bringing in.
We'll see.
Right. Yes, we will see. Because it's still a cop. But at the end of the day, like there's a strong emphasis with him, at least within, hey, if me and you are on a beat together and we're both cops and you start beating up on a guy, it's my obligation by this guy's standards for me to stop you. You still beat up a guy.
I agree with that.
Right. But that's one of his things, because he's out of New Orleans, and apparently New Orleans got taken over federally for a while, the New Orleans Police Department, and so they instituted all these new policies. And one of the new policies that he was a big part of was if you're with me, if we're on duty together, if I fuck up, it's on you. So you better stop me.
Here's the thing. I'm not suggesting that being a police officer is an easy job. Like, I'm not suggesting that. Because, anytime you pull over somebody for a fucking taillight out, it could be the last time you ever walk. I get that. But here's the thing. For me, this is just my approach to it. If you don't have the calm demeanor and the ability to handle that on the day-to-day basis, you need to find another fucking job. You're not required to be a fucking police officer. If this is a draft and you're there, it's something different. But there are a lot of jobs that people just don't do because they are either they don't have it in their mental capacity, psychologically. They're not able to flush the toilet of it every single day when they go home, whatever reason. If you can't fucking handle that and have a fucking cool head, you need to find another fucking job. You need to work at fucking Walmart. It's one of the few jobs in the United States where you are obligated to not work there if you're causing a problem to the public.
I agree, yeah.
If I was good at this, that'd be a great time to put the outro in.
You gotta, splice it in later.
No, I'm not good at that. I would like... I don't want to end. This is a great show. I'm having a good time. You got anything else? Just something small, something quick, something fun?
No, not really.
I wanted to break schedules down, but I wouldn't max here for that.
Schedules?
Yeah, we got the new NFL schedules out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Want to look at those, set up our...
I want some more liquor, too, actually, so it'll allow me to, we can pick the liquor.
Speaking of, I owe Sam 10. I owe you $10.
You can leave me out of the NFL talk.
Let
me know when you got that schedule, and I'll sit out.
I mean, you're obligated.
So
I think that was the $5.
Do you have Venmo, actually? I might have some in my Venmo.
I don't know. I have a Venmo, but I don't accept payments on Venmo.
You don't accept payments on Venmo? Why not?
Because I don't have any way to spend Venmo.
What does that mean?
I don't buy shit from people that
you get transferred to your bank account, you dum-dum.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, I want a Cash App because I want to buy Bitcoins.
I don't have Cash App. And I'm not, and because of Bitcoins, because you said that that's the case, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, okay. Well, then I want real green dollars.
That crypto's...
And I would hate to drive across town with some real green dollars in my pocket and get it fucking seized.
I thought cryptos are crashing.
And if you guys don't have the same fucking story, then they're going to fucking detain you down there and, pound me in the ass prison.
That's just fucking, I like that. There's so many, there's like, oh my God, you have cash?
Right.
Oh my God, you have cash? You must be a drug dealer. Like that
it's not illegal to have cash.
But that premise is so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not illegal, but
there's not a but. To me, there's not a but. Like I'm sorry, man. Like
So you normally roll around with 10 grand in cash.
If I wanna,
if I want to, fuck them. Like it's
my money.
Yes,
no, it's my car.
But you see that as a normal thing.
I don't see it as
what is a normal. This is you. What is a normal thing? Who decides what a normal thing is?
A common thing.
It doesn't matter if
it's something that most people do. It is a common occurrence.
It's not an illegal thing. I don't care if it's normal.
I'm not saying it's illegal.
I don't care. I don't care if the legal.
I'm saying
no, I care more about who gets to decide what normal is.
I don't give a shit about that.
I'm saying it's out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary, like what? Like that to me bothers me more. Like I agree with you 100%, 100%, 100% of what I read in here.
Doubling agreeing,
But this definition of normal really bothers me. Like this normal definition, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to meet somebody to buy something, or maybe I'm going to buy a car from them. Right. Cars like 10 grand. That's not much for a car, really.
I'm not saying
I'm trying to sell the Tahoe right now.
I'm
for
not
$5.
saying it's unheard of.
Like, how pissed off would I be as the seller if I talked to some guy online and I was like, "Hey, come buy my Tahoe for $5 grand," and he's on his way to buy, and he gets pulled over for a busted taillight. They're like, "You got $5 grand on you? You must be dealing drugs." I lost a car sale because the cops are dumb. What?
So here's something like this actually happened when I bought my car in Oregon. This is dumb. You'll appreciate this, but this was fucking dumb. But it was the principle. Okay, so I went to one bank account, took out $18,000, went across the street to another bank to pay for a cashier's check because it was free at that one, and it was $1.79 across the street.
Yeah.
So for 35 seconds.
Right. Some cops.
I had a hell of a lot of cash on me.
It doesn't like I cannot think of a justification that the idea of you have a large amount of cash on you is a problem. I can't think of the justification. Yes, drug dealers do.
That alone, yes.
Drug dealers do. You have cash on you.
When
you must be a drug dealer.
You can't have beans on you. You have beans and money. You're fucked. You're going away for 10 days.
Right. You have 50 pounds of a substance. Doesn't matter what the substance is. Could be a fat dog in your backseat, but you have a substance and cash. You're a drug dealer. Go to jail for a fucking week plus.
Is it weird? I get it. Maybe it might be weird, but at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck because it's. And
I agree with that, but I also weird. I don't think it's weird.
Uncommon.
Uncommon, I suppose, but weird or not normal. I think. I mean, lots of people carry significant amount of cash for lots of reasons.
Listen, I'm not allowing myself to accept the premises of what Sam is saying. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, do you see it often? Maybe once in your entire career as a police officer. But that's not justification enough to say, you know what these beans are? It's actually fucking heroin. We're going to detain you for 10 days. That's not good enough for me.
Plus, your stupid dog sat down and that means something when the dog sits. Which again is also
that is an occurrence.
It also is an occurrence that the trainer can make the dog do things sometimes.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
We got a car full of Mexicans with a bunch of beans.
Does it happen most of the time? I don't think so. Is it possible? Yes.
I would argue that it's more possible that the cop made the dog do this than that the heroin was actually not heroin; it was actually coffee beans.
Okay, so if the miles are possible,
I think it was just regular beans.
It's refried beans.
Coffee beans.
Frijoles. Jesus Christ, are you serious?
Yeah. Frijoles. I think it was black beans.
So
but anyway,
they were going to fucking soccer taco.
Probably, which might be illegal in a whole separate sense, but we don't know about that part of it. But again, like. I don't know.
This show started out terrible, and it got a lot better.
That's how the show does. That's what we do.
Jesus Christ!
Poor people have to listen for an hour plus before it gets good.
Oh no, they don't. They don't listen though.
This is that. I don't know. Like I really want to go on and on about this, but I got to go fucking fix shit.
I do not trust people. I do not trust people in power to protect me. I would like to think that there are people in power that may potentially have my best interest in mind, but I have to make sure that I'm taking care of myself first.
I'll throw an incendiary here thing, and we'll finish on this. The people in power knew about the kid that was going to Buffalo. They knew about him.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay, do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay, why don't you fill AC on what I'm talking about?
You want to do this off air, or you want to do it now?
No, it's on there. Just
I think it was.
You could do the flyer.
Oh wait a minute, the kid that was shot up everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Yeah, those people, like the federal cops, they knew about him.
Well, fuck. Sure, don't give me that shit. I mean, yes, but we knew about Bin Laden. I mean, the FBI, the CIA were not communicating.
I was trying to keep it current, but
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's current or not. I mean, that killed more people.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, it's like they don't do this. Like, all right, so here's okay. So Gretchen Whitmer trial. Have you followed the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping thing?
No,
because I remember we talked about it when it was happening.
You and I did.
We're like, yeah, we had on the show, and it was like a year ago when you were actually on the show every once in a while. So
the trial didn't wrap up until last month or two.
Right, but we were talking about the conspiracy anyway.
Yeah. You're certain of it. Go ahead.
So what was it? We talked about it was like 2 of them were found not guilty, and then 2 of them were mistrialed, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Who?
The guys that tried to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What about her? Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're talking about cops sucking their jobs.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right, that's the show. Thanks, guys. I tried to go back there.
What?
Do the outro if you're going to talk, bro. Anybody? Nobody? All right. Almost agreement. That was a great show. I had a good time. Fucking assholes got to quit their jobs so we can do more shows more often. It's good times. Anyway, we're Almost Agreement, almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. I've got my 22 election guide-ish there. I've got to update it for state races because fucking state races shit. Anyway, I got Testerman coming up for sure. Then I've got some other people I'm reaching out to. I'm trying to get some more interviews going for you guys so we can talk to some more candidates. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about us, all that kind of bullshit. Go to the Compass Points podcast. Check those guys out. That's another show that I produce. It's not nearly as cool, as fun as we are, but it's a thing. Anyway, that's what we do, and that's the show. And thanks, beer.